Who masterminded Senzo Meyiwa's death? Well, details on the mysterious shooting are likely to come out of court as the trial of the 5 men accused of killing the much-loved Bafana Bafana captain begins today. It's been almost 8 years since Meyiwa was gunned down in Vosloorus. The shooting happened at the home of Meyiwa's then-girlfriend, Afropop Superstar Khumalo. Slindelo Masikane is at the North Gauteng High Court for us and joins us now. Slindelo, we see it seems not too busy currently, but we're expecting the Meyiwa family to actually arrive anytime soon.
Certainly so. I mean, we are drawing nearer to when court proceedings are supposed to start here at the North Gauteng. We are expecting the trial to begin at around 10 a.m. this morning. We have spoken to the family who said that they were at the Afropop offices and they were making their way to court this morning. As you can see, I mean, the weather has, of course, seemingly made sure that there isn't a lot of presence outside courts. I think we were expecting possibly some fans, those who loved Senzo Meyiwa, to be coming here to the courthouse, but the weather isn't complying, and we are going to see, of course, the start of this very much anticipated trial of the men accused of the death of Senzo Meyiwa. It's been 8 years since the passing of the soccer superstar sensation, really loved by many, and of course it is quite interesting because over the past couple of years there's been a lot of speculation as to what happened on that fateful evening in October 2014. Lots of rumors, lots of conspiracies around who would have wanted this man dead, and we know that on that day in particular, there were at least 7 people who were in that house when that shooting took place, and it's all a matter of now connecting the dots within this trial as to what evidence does the state actually have against the accused, and how exactly are they connected to this particular case.
No, Slindelo, it remains to be seen. When you touch on the conspiracies, I suppose it is a danger when a matter is not quickly concluded, such as this one. 8 years is too long, that it allows for new conspiracies to emerge. It's honestly very problematic because we've heard so many versions of what could have possibly happened on the day.
And I mean, 8 years is a very long time, but, you know, for those who have been following this matter, who possibly also saw some of the documentary visuals that have been published on Netflix, there's a lot of speculation as to what happened to the crime scene after the shooting. Was there some tampering with the crime scene? You know, what exactly took place? You know, I think this trial, certainly for the family, is going to give them lots of answers that they are seeking. They want to know what happened to Senzo Meyiwa. We are seeing some movement, some officials actually from Afropop making their way here. In fact, the family is right here in front of us. I see Nomalanga Meyiwa. We spoke to her yesterday. She is the sister of Senzo Meyiwa. She was telling me that the family has really been waiting quite a long time for this day. They are quite looking forward to what's going to come out of court. We see the family is flanked by officials from Afropop. That looks like Kali Kriel to me. And we know that they made their way to Gauteng yesterday from KwaZulu-Natal. We know just how painful the past couple of years have been. When I spoke to Nomalanga Meyiwa yesterday, she was telling me that, you know, for this family, this day is very important for them. They really want the answers. They want to know who would have wanted their brother dead. And they're saying that the courts now need to give them those answers. We know that the family is being represented by Advocate Kharinal, who also says that he is actually quite confident that the state does have a case against these men who have been accused, and that at this point what's really outstanding, in fact, is the issue around what's been called the mastermind behind the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. We know that with this, investigations are actually still underway, but it does seem as though there's still more to the story that's still going to unfold, despite the fact that we do have a trial that's about to take place today.
No, we await the start with much keen interest. Insofar as the accused who was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment, I understand, as per Gerinal's explanation yesterday, that it would have no bearing on the case actually commencing today.
Not at all, not at all. We do know, of course, that one of those suspects, as you've correctly stated, has been sentenced to some 12 years in prison for another matter. According to the advocates, this will have absolutely no bearing on this trial, and that everything should go according to plan. We, at this point, still to figure out as well as to who is the state going to call in terms of witnesses. Will we be seeing those who were present at that home taking the stand? We know, of course, that the slain Bafana Bafana soccer player was dating and had a child with singer Khumalo, and we don't know at this point whether she herself will be taking the stand, whether any of those who were in the home will be forming part of those that are taking the stand. But also it's quite interesting because when you look back as to how this particular matter began with investigations, at the beginning we were looking at what was said was to be two suspects who entered that Vosloorus home of Khumalo's mother on that day, and today we're sitting with at least 5 people who are now accused of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. So I think really with this trial, the state will be connecting these dots for us in terms of who are these people and how are they connected to this murder, and what evidence is actually going to be presented before the court.
No, it's honestly a very interesting case. I know even just yesterday, a lot of football supporters and just ordinary citizens who were touched by the passing of Senzo Meyiwa, who have been discussing this case, again speaking to the danger of prolonging such a matter where clearly there are too many conspiracies. Slindelo, what we saw yesterday, even the name of the wife of Senzo Meyiwa being thrown into those conspiracies there. We saw Mandisa's name being brought in. Also, we've also heard of the songstress Khumalo constantly being thrown in as somebody who could have concealed what happened on that fateful day.
I mean, I think that is why this trial is just so important, because the question really is, who has the motive? Who wanted Senzo Meyiwa dead? Why is it that this man was targeted in a room full of at least 6 other people? Why is it that he was the one that took the bullet? The questions around the people who were in that home and how they are connected to Senzo. You know, he had 2 of his best friends there. The mother of his child was there. I just wanted to get a little bit closer, Mfundo, as I speak over these visuals, so that we can try and possibly have the family, you know, speak to us. However, you know, it is quite interesting that the conspiracies that have been coming out of this case really speak to what happened. We all still don't know, even though there are there've been books written about this incident. There have been documentaries made about what happened that day, but it seems that 8 years later, we still have more questions than answers as to what happened to Senzo Meyiwa. But I think that is why this particular trial is so important today, and why the family has really come out today to sit through the next couple of weeks to actually find out as to what happened to their brother, as well as a father and a son. We know that the family has been quite affected by this. In fact, Senzo Meyiwa's father, up until his last day on earth, was really canvassing and trying to get law enforcement and anyone who had any information about this case to come forward, saying that those who actually who were there present know more as to what happened to him and why he took a bullet.
Slindelo, it still remains very interesting, the matter around the accused, because they've always maintained their innocence and in fact said this is actually some sort of a cover-up where they were just dragged into this matter, where the NPA wanted to be seen, or the police wanted to be seen to be doing something, because at one point there was an identity parade and a certain individual was in fact wrongfully arrested for this matter. Very interesting, because even the family at some point were not particularly convinced that these are the men behind this particular case.
Yeah, certainly so, which is why I think we find ourselves here today, because so much took place, especially after his death, in terms of trying to pin this on someone. I think law enforcement was really under pressure at the time to arrest someone, because it just didn't seem believable that law enforcement was unable to at least identify someone or the suspects in this matter. And one of the people who was identified, as you've correctly stated, was somebody who looked similar to the description that was given to the police by Senzo's girlfriend, Khumalo. She described somebody who had dreadlocks, short dreadlocks, dark in complexion, who was one of the suspects who came into that Vosloorus home. And a man was subsequently arrested for that, but it turned out that that was the wrong person. It was just somebody who looked very similar to the person that was described, and law enforcement was really under pressure and at pains trying to figure out what happened that evening. Also suggestions around the tampering of the crime scene. There are suggestions that it was cleaned up before the police could arrive, and if that happened, of course, then surely that was going to, of course, affect the investigations. But 8 years later, we're here now, and there are suspects arrested. They are going to face the rule of law. We see Advocate Khumalo. I think that is who we've been waiting for some time now. He joins the family along with Kali Kriel. They will be, of course, just giving us some comments before they head into court. We're just going to move a little bit back. We apologize for the shaky visuals, Mfundo. However, we're moments away from this court case actually proceeding, and we're going to be hearing from the family today on their expectations. We'll be hearing from Advocate Khumalo as well, who we have had an opportunity to speak to around what we can expect with this trial. But it's certainly going to get underway, and we're hoping to speak to them. Let's just have a conversation with those here.
What seems to be the start of the trial today. Is it going ahead?
Well, it's a significant moment, isn't it, for the trial to start after all these years. I have with me Zayanda, Agzama and Nomalanga. It's time for them to get closure. I think this is the first step in a long while for them to get closure. I sincerely hope we start with the trial today. In these kind of trials, there's always some kind of issue on the first day. So I expect some kind of applications, but then certainly I hope we'll be able to start. I think it's high time. I think we owe it to the family to start this trial.
Now, are you confident that these men that are standing trial today are indeed the ones that have killed Senzo Meyiwa, and we know that you are still adamant that there is a mastermind behind this?
You're 100% correct. I've had this question 100 times in the last week or so. On what I've seen and the briefings I had from the South African Police Service, I'm convinced that we have the correct people before court. But I would have expected more arrests. I would have expected other people to be with them, because I've said all along that I don't believe that this is a robbery that went wrong. It's something more than that. And if I say that, and if that is true, one would have expected other people to be here. But having said that, we have people before court. That's a strategy of the prosecution service. I hope we can just start.
Mr. Nal, do you think we would have actually ever gotten to this point if you, AfriForum, if the family hadn't approached you to try and push the NPA to get this matter in the courts?
Madam, you want me to say yes and you want me to say no, but certainly let me just say that I think when we got involved and there was a new team of investigators appointed, that's when it started to go right. And that's when lots of new information, breakthroughs came about. And I do think that we played a role in having this matter on trial today.
Just how far are these investigations into the mastermind?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the police know who it is. The police have finalized the investigations. They're still busy with it, I think, here and there. But as far as I'm concerned, the police have a very good idea on who the mastermind is. And I'm sure that if the mastermind is not added to the indictment, that there'll be other indictments in future.
Advocate, sorry, know if any of the people who are in the house will testify in this matter?
You see, I don't know. The prosecutor will decide, but I think what one should know is the judge don't know what happened here. The court has no idea what happened, so the state will have to paint a picture of what happened and what led to the arrest of the people. So certainly, I would expect the state to lead evidence to indicate what happened on the day.
Advocate, now you talk about applications that are likely to be brought. Are we talking about the special plea that we're expecting to be brought before this court, in which we understand that some of the murder accused will basically argue in this court that they have nothing to do with the death of Senzo Meyiwa? Number two, on the aspect of Senzo Meyiwa. Senzo Meyiwa has told the SABC that he is being threatened, that he essentially received correspondence from police. They're investigating him for alleged corruption, and he says this is pertaining to what he developed or knows about the case.
Let me answer the first question first. What was the first question again?
Relating to the special plea. Are we expecting that application?
I don't understand the special plea. I don't expect a special plea. Just think for yourself. If you say I'm not guilty, let us go to court. Let it allow us the opportunity to test the state's case, allow us the opportunity to develop our own case, and to indicate to the court that we're not guilty. As far as the Senzo is concerned, please excuse me, he's not a client of mine. He used to be a client of mine. I haven't had any consultation with him, and I would prefer not to give you what I think about the aspect.
Mr. Now, just from our side, we do know that you've just mentioned the issue of Senzo being your client. He was your client. What is the situation now? We know that it seems that they're sitting on opposite sides of the fence. Some feeling that the mastermind, that these 5 men are not the ones that have killed Senzo. The others still believing that they definitely are. Is it part of your work that what you do to actually educate the family as to how we are going within the proceedings in this trial?
Indeed. The long delay and all the unfulfilled promises made by senior policemen and politicians alike created the fertile ground for conspiracies to grow, to start growing. And that led to a rift in the family, a split in the family, which is very unfortunate. But certainly I've explained to my clients my view of what I've seen, and that's all one can do. One can look at the evidence and we can then develop your view. I've explained to my clients, and that's what we're here for. That is mainly what we will be doing going through the trial, is to explain the significance of all the evidence, of all the witnesses to the family so that they understand. And certainly, if there's some new developments, we will deal with that with the family as well.
Is it possible to speak to one of the family representatives just to give us a sense of how they're feeling?
Okay. As long as you understand that they're going through a very difficult time.
Of course.
They indicated to me in my office this morning that they would really not want to, but we've convinced them if we can get Nomalanga just to say a few words, but please understand that they're going through a difficult time.
All right.
Nomalanga, good morning to you. How does it feel for you as a family? If you could please stand here, thank you. How does it feel this morning that the trial is about to start for you as a family, 8 years after Senzo was killed?
Ngicabanga ukuthi it's a relief to us as a family ukuthi namhlanje iqala ukuthethwa, so we are hoping ukuthi uma singenela ngaphakathi sizokwazi ukuthi kahle kwenzakalani. So that's ikona sebesifisa ukwazi njengamanje ukuthi uma singenela ngaphakathi sizothola iqiniso, but to us as a family it's a relief. We are hoping ukuthi sesizokwazi ukuthi kwenzakalani.
All right, Sabonga sis. All right, Mfundo, I think that's where we can leave it for now. I mean, we are looking, it's 9:48 right now, so that means in the next 10 minutes or so, we will be seeing the start of this, what will be a historic trial in terms of what we're expecting to see unfold. As you've heard from Advocate Kharinal, they believe they've played a hand in terms of how we find ourselves here. However, issues around the mastermind still outstanding, and of course we now look towards 10 o'clock to see what will be the start of the Senzo Meyiwa trial.
Thank you very much for that update. We'll be catching up with you a bit later, just stepping in and out of the proceedings there. That's Slindelo Masikane out at the North Gauteng High Court. Khumalo there maintains the murder was not a robbery gone wrong, as been maintained by those who were present in the Vosloorus home back in 2014 when Meyiwa was shot.